There's any doubt of that. And nor is there any doubt about the fact that we would all like to travel as fast as possible, be it a passenger train, be it a freight. No, doubling of a single line, undoubtedly that's going to increase the capacity. Right? It's going to increase the capacity to run train on a section, more the tracks, more trains we can run. Naturally, it's going to reduce the travel time. So we can run more trains. However, the type of fuel that we are using, that is a very complex kind of a scenario. To the common man, to the naked eye, electricity, if it is sustainable, if it is hydel, if it is nuclear, if it is wind, that is definitely solar, that is definitely better than a source which is expensive, which is oil, diesel. But then, as things stand today, a Mark 4 has a bigger carbon footprint than maybe a DC-50. Today's electric locomotives have a bigger carbon footprint as they pollute more than a diesel engine. Right? Another point which of course we were helped by Professor Manning, who gives us a view from outside. This view is that it affects the balance of payments. Now, assuming that we produce most of our electricity, of course we do import electricity from other countries, but we produce most of our electricity here. Be it from coal, be it from hydel, be it whatever. Most of the electricity. So, the more electrics we use, the less we need to buy from other countries. The better our balance sheet looks. Right? Make in India. That's the mantra, right? Another point is the need to train the people who are running it. We have senior LPs who run on Konkan, who run on many other unidentified lines, who are grade A pilots. They run these Rajdanis and all the other things. They need to be sent to training, and they're all quite experienced, 20-25 years of experience in running a diesel. To learn a new thing, you have to unlearn some of the things that you learn. It needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of cost training these people. That is a factor that has to be factored in. And then, it cannot be a universal debate as to whether just doubling is better than electric. It's not as simple as that. It's more a horses for courses kind of a thing. Now you take the example of two lines. You have one Konkan railway line, which is pretty much, it is diesel. Now is it easier to double a Konkan line or electrify a line? What is the infrastructure involved in doubling a line as opposed to wiring a line which is already functioning? And then you have the Braganza gun, which is again a single line. Which is easier? Is it easier to double the line there, or is it easier to electrify the line? The challenges that we get, it differs from one line to the other. And then you have another scenario where, let us say, there's a mishap on a single line. How long does it take for that line to be cleared? Once there's a mishap, just a simple freight derailment, just a nothing. Yesterday we were coming from Jodhpur to BKL. All that happened was, it was not even a mishap. It was just an alert station master who noted a hot wheel in one of the boxing wagons. And that wagon was locked on the main line. The rest of the line, the rest of the train was sent further to the next station. They had to decouple the loco, bring it back, and then slowly at a speed of 10 maybe, they had to haul the wagon all along to the next station, keep it on the loop. All this while, 3-4 trains piled up on this side, dozen trains piled up on that side. Would this have happened had it been a double line? Right? So there are so many of these factors. So all said and done, it would still be better to have a double line rather than electrify a line. The striking example that we get is a busy passenger section, which is single. The hot line in the south of India, in Tamil Nadu, the Vrindachalam to Tiruchirappalli section, which sees about 169 crossings, 169, in about 8 hours, from 10 o'clock in the night to 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, if we double this up, things would make it a lot more easier to manage, a lot less chance of a mishap, a lot faster. So these are the points that I would like to lay in front of you. Any comments?
Very good.
First of all, good analysis, good presentation. I read in for, I'm not sure where, but I understood that India's IR's annual electric consumption by locals is 0.01% of the entire consumption by India. Okay, the power for action.
Okay.
That's one thing. Second, we all know most of the LPs that we are associated with. I had a couple of LPs that gave me some insights. Bangalore Chennai Mail, powered by WP4 at that time. This guy used to spend about close to 300 units of power from FBC to Max. Had been diesel. I don't know how much. Okay, so consumption wise, if you take, the difference is just miles ahead. But from the sustainability perspective, India's footprint, because I currently now work with sustainability. So solar power is actually picking up fast, so these guys are doing it. And the recent example that we gave, our partner, is now fully energized as well as getting double. So I would also like to say that you need to have one perspective of whether I'm going to spend more on the cost or I'm going to spend on the future.
I have another view on that.
Basically, capacity augmentation, it looks like electrification per kilometer electrification. Its cost is as equivalent as doubling. Of course, there are certain exceptions like Cookwood Railway and Braganza cost in the plate section. The per kilometer doubling cost versus per kilometer electrification cost is almost similar. I don't have the exact number, but the problem is the value we get out of doubling is phenomenally high as a weak electrification. Therefore, the ROI on doubling is in terms of capacity augmentation lot higher.
See, there's another
The sequence should be, of course, if I talk from absolute block section, intermediate block section, color light signal, then automatic signal, then doubling, then comes electricity. That's the sequence for capacity augmentation. Okay, it is where you put the penny, where you get the capacity that need to be used.
I'd like to offer another comparison here. We have two single lines. One is the SPC Londa section, the Southwestern Railway in Karnataka, and the other is the third line. See, you have the third line here, which is surrounded on all sides by the electric traction. You have the FEDL towards Kerala, you have the FEDL running from Madras to Bangalore and then up north, everywhere. So that is an isolated kind of a unelectrified section in the middle of an electric zone. Probably, in a way, it makes sense to electrify it.
That's operational convenience.
Right?
That's operational convenience.
I mean, you have all these factors. These are all factors which will influence. I mean, this is acknowledged fact.
Actually, we are talking about
main line also same thing. It is isolated.
Yeah.
We have to isolate.
Yeah, right.
no, actually we are talking
The
about
operational problems will be there.
we are talking about the days 5, 6, 8 years ago when the section was crying for capacity augmentation. Each train used to halt at 15, 20 stations before Trichy. Before entering Trichy, it used to take 6 or 7 hours for a super fast to reach Trichy. So at that point in time, doubling was the only sensible solution that had to be done before going in for electrification.
Correct.
It was clearly based on political considerations that electrification took precedence. Today, if you tell me after batch doubling, I would rather go for electrification after batch doubling than having it fully doubled. At that point in time, electrification of that stretch, Chengalpattu to Trichy, electrification was the least of the priorities that should have been followed, but it was made the topmost priority.
On the other hand, we have non-electrified sections. Ajmer to Jaipur, you can see the double non-electrified.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Where a section of 100 meters of track.
Two containers, one above the other.
Yes, let him answer that, and then we'll have Mahesh.
And what about the freight, the overdimensional freight is electrified?
Okay, let him.
See, there's one other section. There's a 100-meter section, just 100 meters, just outside Bangalore city. Yeah, between kilometer 355, 400 and 355, 600. Just 100 meters of a single track. Electrified, of course, in one of the biggest metros in India. That single section of a single track, that holds up trains for up to 1 hour. You have freights, you have Shatabdis, you have all kinds of trains. They come into Krishnapuram at 10 o'clock in the night, and then by the time they get onto platform 7, it is 10:50, 10:55. And that is because of just 100 meters of a single line section.
Yeah, I think, between which stations?
Just outside SPC, between China, 255, 400, 355, 600. Yep.
Okay, Manish.
No break,
Yeah.
just a hard drive.
Okay.
So just one thing I want to add to the cost that Ravi spoke about is the cost of construction of doubling versus electrification. Something that we need to consider today is also the cost of land acquisition, especially now, where first of all acquiring land is difficult. In general, people generally don't want to give up land. And secondly, when you acquire land, compensation has been vastly enhanced, right? So the amount that you're going to pay for acquiring that land is much larger. In situations where there are certain sections where railways have vast amounts of land available on either sides of an existing plan, there are also a lot of sections where doubling will only progress after land acquisition takes place. And in those sections, it might be worth considering whether doubling is worth that additional investment of acquiring land there, or whether you might want to electrify that section and then maybe try constructing an alternative route with land acquisition elsewhere where it might be easier, or divert, whatever, construct multiple parallel routes to divert traffic elsewhere, or make use of existing alternative routes. We had discussions on this in the forum, right, where main lines are getting saturated, there are alternative routes available which should be used.
Actually,
I'd like to make a point.
Adding to what Manish has said, I would like to bring in the example of the Bangalore-Hubli section where sensibly doubling has taken precedence over electrification. We have the pains that we undertook after single line. We are now seeing the gains. The Jan Shatabdi is coming in at 2140, taking and now comfortably taking his 8 wheel coming by Jan Shatabdi.
And then so both was overtakes transform.
Yeah, it still does. Thank you.
So one final concluding point I'd like to make. See, I'm a surgeon. I deal with patients. I deal with surgeries. Now you have two cases where there's a person with an inner artery, fit as a fiddle, going around with a lump maybe in his tummy or a lump in his neck, right? Then there's another person who is running around. He breaks his leg, right? Who comes running to the doctor first? It's the one with the leg was broken. We have to fix it, right? What happens is when you double a single line, or rather when you wire a single line, then when that wired single line is being electrified, when it is being doubled, you cannot have a double line where one line has electricity running and another line is unwired, right? So that is probably what the policy that the government is adopting. First wire the lines, and then when you are doubling it, automatically you're going to have a wired double line. As opposed to that, you have a single line, you double it first, and then the inertia to wire it is a lot more.
So in Pakistan, another thing happened. So the Lahore Railway line was single electrified line. They doubled it and decommissioned the electrified
Okay, I think we are going to stop here. We can have offline discussion, which we do have time after we are done with this.